Okay, so welcome to Erin Kane's Psychology Project for Mr. Nipper's Psychology class. And yes, I'm going to be reading most of this off a paper behind the camera, so just ignore all that. Anyway, so first of all, I found this project kind of interesting. I now know what kind of psychology careers I could look into, which is cool, because once upon a time, I was actually thinking about being one. Not so much anymore, but that's another story. I also found out a little bit about what the psychologists call the normal curve, which is something I'd never heard of before. Basically, the normal curve is like a bell-shaped curve, if you think like on a paper, where it measures the average behavior of a human and the abnormal behavior. The average behavior would be up at the top, and the abnormal behavior is further at the bottom. And I also found out that all abnormal behavior is not always bad, which is a relief to some people, I'm sure. Anyways, the two coolest psychology jobs I found were definitely the forensic psychology and abnormal psychology. Forensic psychology may not actually be as exciting as TV shows like Criminal Minds make it out to be, but it's still pretty interesting. People in that field get to examine criminals' behavior so that they can give a testimony in court. Say if they're pleading crazy or whatever that's called. Anyways, they can also diagnose mental illnesses in suspected criminals. Abnormal psychologists also diagnose and treat mental illnesses, but just not in the justice system. I also found out that a social worker can be a type of psychologist, which is another thing that I didn't actually know, which is, I don't know if that's good or bad, but A social worker was also actually one of my suggested jobs from the quiz. And anyways, my other results from the quiz showed 4 different types of psychology jobs that would maybe be good for me. And one of them was the social worker, as I already said. And the others were a clinical psychologist, school psychologist, and a counselor. And I think that these are actually pretty good suggestions for me because, well, 2 of the 4 actually deal with children, which is good because I love kids. And out of the 4 careers, though, I think that a clinical psychologist would be the best suited for me. And it may be a little cliche, considering that it's the first job that most people think of when someone says the word psychologist, but I still think it would be best for me. Because I'm more comfortable with opening or working in a private practice, which is good because that's what most clinical psychologists do. And they can also work with either adults or kids, which is good for me. And the pay is also pretty good for a psychologist. And to me, the biggest contribution that psychologists make to the world is that they help people. They diagnose mental illnesses and they treat them so that people who have them can have a chance at a good life. They help put criminals in jail, like I already said, and they help people with deep personal problems to resolve them and live better lives. So psychologists, they make the world a better, less crazy place. Thank you for